Hey, what's going on, guys? Just doing a quick rig walkthrough to kind of show you at least what I have set up. It's getting me really close to that sound I'm looking for, so of course everybody's, well, not everybody, but there's quite a lot of people that prefer that slash sound. You know, Gibson Les Paul, Marshall, lots of mids, just a real sweet sound. So of course, got a prehistoric Gibson Les Paul. This is a 1989. It's not a dark back, but it sounds fantastic. It's got mid 80s Seymour Duncan APH1 wound by MJ, so the APH1 NJ and BJ pickups. And then I've got 60s Black Beauty caps, but other than that, everything else on here is stock. So the pots I didn't mess with, the bridge tailpiece, and the nut. It's all vintage, original specs that it came with. So. Great guitar. That's, you know, of course, the basis of the foundation. So, moving on along, my illustrious pedal board here, as you can see, running lots and lots of effects, at least pre-recording, right? So, this is a Super Overdrive Boss. This is a 80s, really good condition when I got lucky with this one. Didn't spend a whole lot on it too, but you can see the settings I'm running here for that. And that's it for in front of the amp. So next, of course, the JCM 800. I've got the settings on here. This one is modded, but I'll run through real quick just so you can see. Low presence, and my tape that I just put on is coming off, so I'm going to have to change that. Bass, just under 6. Mids, just over 6. Treble, it's just slightly under 2. You can kind of see it better here. Master volume, running about 8.5, almost 9. And then the preamp here, about 7.5. Kind of change those around a lot, the preamp. It changes the bass and the high-end EQ when you lower that and raise it up. So after that, the next thing in the signal, of course, got an attenuator. So the video I posted just last night, I was actually playing while my kids were sleeping next door, the next room over. But that's running in the effects loop on the back. Let's see if you can see it here. So those two cables go there. And then, of course, the signal's going into the cab. So this is a 1960 AV, the vintage. This I think this is like a mid-90s, 97. And it's got the Marshall G12 vintage, really similar to the V30s. But anyway, I'll show you the next thing here. I'm actually talking into one of them. So this is the Shure Unidyne. Probably can't hear me as well now, but this is basically the precursor to the Shure SM57. Don't know exactly what is different about these, but I tested the Shure against the Unidyne, and I no longer have the Shure. So if that tells you anything. So let me set this down real quick, and I'll turn the light on so you can see mic placement. Alright, here we go. See if I can get you in there without blocking the light. Yeah, I may not be able to see this very well, but if you look right in the middle there is center cone, and then we've got the chalk marking there for roughly where the mic is. So just recently watched a video of Mike Clint getting interviewed on Pensado's Place, and the question they asked, of course, was, I mean, they prefaced it by, surely you didn't put the microphone right on the center cone because that's too much fizzy sound. You have to slide it off. But he did ask specifically if he used SM57, and he said that's exactly right. So started off on the middle cone and then slid it off until it sounded good. So I did the same thing with this right here, and started off kind of just off the cone, moving it outside, and then when I got to this point that it's marked here, it sounded really good. And then if you move a little bit more to the left, it just sounds really muddy and bassy. So I think that's kind of the sweet spot where I can dial in a little more highs with the amp, but it doesn't sound harsh. just based off the mic placement, but there's a huge amount of change in EQ and where you place the microphone. So if you haven't experimented with that, definitely give that a chance, give that a go. Alright, so now moving on, microphones are going into this Art tube mix. This is a really cool setup right here. It's perfect for what I need. It's only a two mic input, and it has two 12AX7 tubes in it. Seen some guys post about changing out the tubes in this, just like anything, and it sounds better when you put in, you know, like vintage molars or something like that. Really, I haven't opened it up. I don't even know what's inside of it. But one of the things that I just recently kind of messed with on here that I hadn't done, you see at the very top the trim knob, I've always left at 0, and just recently kind of bumped it up a little bit. And what that's doing, that's adding a little bit of color from the tubes that are in there. So at 0, you're getting nothing from it. So it's kind of like a mic preamp a little bit. It definitely made everything kind of come alive, so to speak, a little bit. But if you look at the EQ settings, the top one there, highs, everything is just right down the middle, so there's no boost or cut. And then this aux in right here is the signal that's being sent to the effects loop. So that's what these two cables are up here at the top. So we've got an aux send and a return. So the send is going to the SRV-2000. I've got 2 of them. So the input into one, and then it goes into the next one, of course, right? And then at the end of the signal, I've got this SPX 900 Yamaha multiFX processor, and pretty much just I usually mainly just for chorus. I had a stereo chorus pedal that stopped working on me, so at about the same time that happened, I picked this thing up, and I've just been using it for chorus, and it sounds really good too. So, but those are the settings for that. Just using about 15%, just a touch. And then the Behringer here, Dual Effects Pro, I don't really even use. So, every time I try out and try to mess with it, I end up, you know, not liking it in the end. It's just like every time it's a waste of time. So honestly, probably just need to pull that thing out. But anyway, and then finally moving in here into the computer setup. So what I have here is, I guess I'll have to open up something else to show you an example. But I'm running something called Freeverb Stereo Enhancer, and the regular compressor that's in Audacity. And then finally I'll do like an amplification where I just lower the signal by a couple of dBs so it's not totally maxed out, and that's about it. So I'll just do something real quick here, no audio, but you'll be able to see how I use the stereo enhancer. So okay, we should be rolling again. So if you saw that, that stereo enhancer really does a whole lot. It's free. You can just Google Freeverb Stereo Enhancer, and then you can drop that into your plugins for your DAW and run it. And I just gave you the settings, but since I've discovered that, I've pretty much been running that on everything, and it just makes the sound bigger. It's kind of like reverb, but it doesn't make it sound wet. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's really good. And then the compressor just kind of makes the signal. Of course, I mean, it's a compressor, but and it also, you know, make the end signal much louder. And then amplification, like I said, I'm just kind of bringing it down a little bit. But I'll run a couple samples through real quick. I'll do a guitar riff, real short one, and then I'm going to layer everything in. So I'll start off with one SRV, the second SRV, the chorus from the SPX 900, and then I'll layer in the stereo enhancer, and then the compressor, and then that's pretty much it. So just kind of to show you what's going on there with that. All right, so here it is, no effects. And one SRV. And now both SRVs. And now adding the chorus from SPX 900. And stereo enhancer. And compressor.